Hello everyone and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show. Now on this program we're going to talk about a condition that's underreported, underdiagnosed and undertreated according to mentalhealth.org, and that is anxiety. So what we're going to be focusing on today is raising awareness about it, helping people recognize it if they have it, and also finding out ways to beat it. So let's just give you some facts, and these are from mentalhealth.org.uk website, and they say it's estimated that 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience a mental health problem each year, while 1 in 6 experience a neurotic disorder such as anxiety or depression. Anxiety disorders are also estimated to affect 3.3% of children and young adults in the UK. While 2.6% of the population experience depression and 4.7% have anxiety problems, as many as 9.7% suffer mixed depression and anxiety, making it the most prevalent mental health problem in the population as a whole. Generalized anxiety disorder affects between 2 to 5% of the population, yet accounts for as much as 30% of the mental health problems seen by GPs. So it's a very serious problem. So I've got a few tweets as well from you guys. Official Jordan says, people do not take anxiety seriously enough. It can make everyday life and the simplest of things for somebody physically impossible. And Marlborough says, anxiety will show you the worst side of yourself. Byron says, I didn't wish for anxiety, I wish for it to leave my life. I totally agree with you there. That's a very good attitude to have. We should try to beat these mental health disorders. Classified Facts says, music helps reduce anxiety and also helps the human mind and body get through stressful times. And Eleanor says, some days your head will be a whirlpool of depression and anxiety. In those days, you got to breathe and focus on everything great in life. All right, guys, so if you at home have anything to say about anxiety or any other mental health disorder, you can tweet us at Chrissy B Show. You can also comment on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show, and also you can send an email via our website, chrissybshow.tv. Now, let me tell you about our guest that we have today. First of all, we have Dr. Audrey Tang, and she's going to be talking about what actually anxiety exactly is, how it starts, and how it escalates. And we also have mental health expert Pooky Knightsmith, and she's going to be telling us about her own experience with mental health disorders and also telling us about her work with young people as well. And we have Aromatherapist Louise Crockart, and she's going to be telling us about how aromatherapy works and how it helps with anxiety. And later on, I'll be going through the 7 ways that I personally keep anxiety at bay. But first, let's go to the news with Jenny Cortez Ibanez. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Chris.
Nice to see you again on the show.
Lovely to be back. Thank you very much for having me. So
I think everyone gets a bit anxious at times, don't they?
Yes, we still do. I don't know about you, but I still do.
Especially with this job.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, today's topic, anxiety. And having done my research, what I've noticed is that anxiety actually comes in all shapes and sizes. So what I'm going to do is going to go through a couple of the different types of anxiety disorders and the celebrities that actually have been affected by it. Okay. So here we go. So the first one is Generalized Anxiety Disorder, or GAD. And this is a persistent form of daily anxiety that doesn't have any of the symptoms of other anxiety disorders. And lots of celebrities actually have suffered from it. And it actually affects a large percentage of the general population. So something very important to know. And a couple of people that have gone through it, Abraham Lincoln, so former American president, back in the day, obviously they didn't do any diagnosis, so they couldn't figure it all out. But many did believe that he suffered from severe anxiety and depression. And actually doesn't come as a surprise with the type of job that he had. So it must have been very stressful, and having to be a president.
I just really feel for the people in the past that had depression or mental health issues, because
not much
it's hard enough getting people to talk about it nowadays. Imagine back then.
And there was little knowledge
alone.
about it. Exactly, so we're very lucky these days. And he was noted to say, we live in the midst of alarms, anxiety beclouds the future. We expect some new disaster with each newspaper we read. So we can see a little bit, we can identify that he, this amount enormous of stress that he must have gone through. Moving on, we have the singer Leann Rimes, who actually sings one of my favourite songs of all time. So Leann Rimes in 2012 decided to enter a treatment facility for severe anxiety and distress, but we actually don't know much of her, her condition. But her representative did say that she simply needed to relearn and coping tools for the significant anxiety that comes with being a celebrity. And actually having gone through all the different types of celebrities, a lot of them is because of their rise of fame and stuff that they've started to develop these types of conditions. Some of them quite overnight, I would say as well. It's true. Moving on, we also have famous people with panic disorders. So unlike GAD, that you can kind of go on a day-to-day basis without nobody finding out you have something wrong with you, actually, although you still should get treated for it. Panic disorders often causes severe, debilitating or draining anxiety attacks that can frighten not only the person suffering from the panic attacks, but those surrounding the person. And that's probably the reason why a lot of more celebrities are open about this if they have it, because it's so visually there, you can't really miss it. And that includes Adele, one of the most famous singers of our time. In 2011 and 2012, she appeared to have suffered from not only panic attacks, but also social phobia and severe stage fright. Adele, can you believe it? And it's probably, it says here, strong likelihood that she suffered from these before she even stepped on stage. But that's interesting.
So it's quite brave of her to still go ahead if she had these things before and then to go
like
out there
that as well. She's amazing. So
it's good that she's trying to get past it.
Exactly, good for her. Moving on, Johnny Depp. So he's actually suffered from panic attacks for years, but he's not open about it, but he's known for having them. Moving on, Johnny Depp's old flame, Kate Moss, supermodel, she's also revealed that she's been dealing with panic attacks for years, especially in her youth. She revealed in a magazine interview that her panic attacks may have been related to severe stress over the idea that she needed to make provocative poses with men and women in the way that made her distressed. So part of her job also has got her to develop this condition. Which is actually interesting. I'd love to find out later on in the show is why do some people get it when they're young? Is there something in there, and why some just get it out of nowhere, in the middle of anywhere it could happen to you. But moving on, Emma Stone, another young actress. Now this popular young woman in movies today, she's dealt with numerous panic attacks to the point where she's developed agoraphobia. Now this is a fear of being in situations where escape might be difficult or help wouldn't be available or things go wrong. So they could be scared of travelling on public transport, visiting a shopping centre or even leaving home. So that must be hard.
We did do a show actually. Do you remember there was a gentleman that we had on Skype?
Yeah.
He couldn't even leave his home. That's why we had to obviously do the interview by Skype. They hadn't left this home for ages.
Yeah, it must be very difficult to have something like that. So it's good to talk about it. Moving on, Scarlett Johansson. So she's one of the most beautiful actresses of our time. She's talked about being nervous going to premieres or even before filming her movies, and she suffered severe anxiety attacks at these points. It's also not clear why, but it's obvious that the actress has had some issues or something beforehand. Amanda Seyfried, another actress, I can see the pattern here. She says she also gets attacks before premieres, upcoming premieres, and in a recent interview she expresses how she's not comfortable with her stardom status. Another starlet not comfortable with fame. She gets anxious over her parents and even her dog. So she says she's actually imagined her dog opening her window in her apartment and falling out, even though she can't open the window herself. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's, and the artist concludes that stressing over these things is a result of overly thinking and over-analysing things. So is that a symptom? I'm not sure.
Yes, it is. I can relate to that because I used to overanalyze things, and those panic attacks were awful. It's the worst thing you can go through, honestly.
Okay, but you overcame it.
Yes, I overcame it, and there is hope for everybody.
Great. Moving on to sports personalities, one of the best players in Major League Baseball, Joey Votto. He was working his way up his minor leagues and even to the majors. He suffered from severe panic attacks, to the point where he shared the one phrase that a lot of people with these conditions say, and it says, "I thought I was going to die." So that's really bad as well, isn't it?
It's horrible. It's terror, actually. You feel terrified when you're having one.
Really?
It's not like just you're a bit scared or you're a bit nervous. You actually feel terrified, like something terrible is going to happen to you.
No,
yeah.
Goodness. But there's a way out,
yes.
isn't there? So
yes, that's why we do this show.
Exactly. Kim Basinger, a famous actress and model, also suffered from attacks and severe stress. Her first panic attack was in the middle of a grocery store. So unlike some of the other starlets we talked about, she never suffered it before in her younger years, nothing. It was just the middle of a grocery store and she just had it the first time there and then. So I wonder why that is as well.
We'll be asking Audrey about that.
Definitely. And so it's that point, it was so bad that she actually developed agoraphobia and depression as a result of that incident. So that's not good. Charlie Belgian is a golfer that became the face of panic attacks in his time when he suffered from one while playing on the PGA Tour. Not quite sure what that is, but I'm sure those sportsmen... pretend I do. He managed to finish with one of the lowest scores of his career despite himself and the paramedics believing he was actually having a heart attack. It was nothing more than a severe panic attack. So it was quite bad. He obviously got affected by it. Chris Evans, who stars in Captain America, the actor, after winning the role of Captain America, Evans went into therapy, which seemed to have helped him learn that it is, and I quote, "It is really good just to talk about what you're struggling with," he told the New York Times. "It's not like I had a massive breakthrough, but for some reason, this feels more manageable." And what do we do on the show?
We talk about stuff.
Yeah, so and we always recommend that we, and promote, talk. If you have an issue, talk to people.
And even though, I know things are kind of changing now about, getting mental health issues out there more, but there's still, we still need to do more. We still need to talk more about it, get more people to open up about things. Yeah. Just to share, because it just feels like such a massive burden when you don't talk about things.
And if you can, seek professional advice.
Yes, definitely,
and help
always.
as well,
yeah.
Of course. Moving on to Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, or OCD. So a lot of people, not only celebrities, even ordinary people, they always say, "Oh, I have OCD," but they actually don't. So they think they have it, but they actually don't. And those who do have it, who do have OCD, know how draining and stressful it can be. It's not like any other disorder or nerve using or never using a public bathroom. That's not OCD. Those with OCD develop severe anxiety, have unusual thoughts or fears, and perform ritualistic behaviours specifically to get through their day-to-day.
And actually, Jenny, we're going to be doing a show very soon about OCD, so we're going to be covering lots and giving help to our viewers as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you so much for the news.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again very soon. All right, guys, so do stay tuned, because after the break, I'll be speaking to psychologist Dr Audrey Tang, and she's going to delving more into what anxiety exactly is and how it begins, and also how it escalates. And later on, I'll be covering 7 ways that I personally keep anxiety at bay. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back, everyone, and today we're speaking all about anxiety. So now we have Dr. Audrey Tang with us, and she's going to be delving more into this topic, telling us what anxiety exactly is, and also how it develops in the first place, and also how it escalates. So hello, Audrey.
Hello, Chrissy.
Lovely to have you on again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So we have obviously heard Jenny earlier talking about some of the statistics there and how serious the topic is, and also celebs that have been through it. But she did pose a question about why with some people it starts when they're very young and other people when they're older.
With a lot of mental health disorders, unfortunately, a lot of the research can only take place post-mortem. So, for example, it might be, say, an excess of dopamine in the brain, but you can only find that out later on, and then you don't know what caused which. Did the excess firing of certain neurons cause excess dopamine to be produced, or vice versa, and so on. So that could be why we actually don't have a clear explanation. But one of the things that we do know is that anxiety can be brought on by the environment you're in. And that can change as we get older, or it could start right from the home when we're young. For example, schizophrenic patients who had been treated, who went back to a chaotic family, more often had relapses than those who went back to a calm family. So if you're in an environment where people constantly talk over each other, there's no consistency, of course you're going to feel stressed, because you don't know how your sort of question might be responded to, and that can be a real problem. Certainly, Jenny mentioned a lot of performers, actors. They're in a world where they don't know who to trust. Anybody could turn against them at any point. They could be having a chat with someone in a bar, and suddenly their story is being sold on the front page. And that in itself can make you afraid to go out of the house. The whole problem with anxiety is it's very self-propagating. Not only can we catastrophize thoughts, so we have a negative thought, but then suddenly if we don't have an outlet or we can't speak to anyone about it, we actually make it worse and worse in our own minds.
Is that when it kind of crosses over? Because obviously the anxiety isn't just feeling a bit stressed, is it?
It becomes excessive worry.
Right.
But then you can also have a situation where when you're worrying about whatever it is, you start getting the physical symptoms. The physical symptoms in themselves cause us to panic even more.
Which are the physical symptoms?
It'll be things like shortness of breath, dizziness, can be nausea, can even be vomiting, diarrhea. And when you've got all of those feelings, it gets even worse, because you're then afraid in case you're sick outside, or we're quite private individuals in many ways, even though I think social network seems to be breaking down those barriers, whether for good or for bad. And because of that, any form of embarrassment that we might feel because we've lost control of our senses can actually cause us to feel even more anxious.
Okay.
And that can be a real problem.
So the actual what's the actual definition of anxiety?
Clinically, yes. It's the DSM Diagnostics and Statistical Manual 5 at the moment that we're on, and that is a persistent or excessive worry that, as Jenny said, can't be classed under any other form of anxiety disorder, such as OCD or phobias. And it goes on for a period of 6 months or more, but it has to be for adults, accompanied by 3 other symptoms at least, and there's a whole list of symptoms. They include things like not being able to sleep, irritability, nausea, vomiting, that sort of thing as well. For children, it only needs to be accompanied by 1 of those symptoms. Okay. So it's a slightly lower judgment, I guess, for children. But the whole point of having it diagnosed clinically is, of course, it can be treated clinically. Otherwise, it can only be treated almost with talking therapies, if you can afford a counsellor, or if you're able to see somebody, or people self-treat, and that can be a problem in itself.
Okay. Now, obviously, we all go through stressful situations, and we do get a bit anxious about certain things, a bit nervous when maybe it's a new environment, we're not used to, when it's something outside of our comfort zone. What is the difference between someone that copes with those kind of situations better and the ones that don't and do end up getting really anxious, and it brings on other things as well?
I've mentioned this on a previous show. And so I think it's relevant now, is the locus of control. It's the idea that some people have a very internal locus, in that they believe that they are in control of what they can do, that it's their life isn't ruled by fate. But there's other people with an external locus who believe much more that things are predestined, things will happen anyway. And if you actually have less control over your lives, or perceive that you have less control, it can make you less resilient, because you might start feeling there's nothing you can do about it. Okay. It might also be a consistent failure or a consistent experience that no one has helped you, or things have gone wrong for you, and that can actually make you anxious, because that's all you've got to go on. You've only had failures, you've only had people that you can't trust or selling your stories. It's no wonder that you then can't find almost the ability to trust somebody else who seems to be on your side. And
in terms of treatments available out there?
There's a lot of treatments available. I would consider complementary therapies as well as talking therapies, obviously. There are somatic therapies, but when it comes to taking prescription drugs, my feeling on it is almost always it's good only if you're at the stage where you can't function without them. It brings you up to be able to function, but you must then find another form of therapy to talk about it and get to the root of the problem. The whole issue with taking too many prescription drugs is that they manage the symptoms. They don't ever get to the root cause of the issue.
Okay.
And it's
But also would like to stress on this program that, you know, the most important thing to do is perhaps to talk about talk to someone at least get the ball rolling, and even if you haven't never spoken about it before, and you maybe see it as a sign of weakness or that people think you're weird if you talk about it, it's so important just to verbalize it to someone.
Absolutely, there is no shame in it at all. And if the whole problem is if you don't vocalize it to somebody, that's when you start internalizing, over-analyzing, reflecting and catastrophizing, and it just gets worse. One form of therapy, I use it in my coaching, is phenomenological therapy. Gestalt therapists use this one, and what it is it's about noticing where you're feeling the anxiety, just so you can start recognizing the trigger. For a lot of people, getting used to how your body works brings that connection between mind and body, which means that if you then suddenly feel, say you feel anxiety in your stomach, if you get that sort of flutter or twinge, some people feel it in their chest, some in their head. If you get a small inkling there, you can think, what in this environment has caused that? And it allows you to then identify what the trigger is in the first place, which is something that we don't often do. And then be able to either remove yourself from that situation or face it and deal with it and know it's not that bad. The whole problem with anxiety is that our brain tends to make the wrong connections. So, for example, we might see a spider, then we start breathing very heavily because we're scared. No one gets rid of it, so we panic even more about it. And it's actually more that the threat or whatever it is hasn't gone away, but we actually just think, oh no, the spider causes all of my panic attacks because it's the most obvious thing that we associate with. It's the same thing as if we have food poisoning. We don't actually think it was the bug that caused it. We think, oh, I'll avoid whatever I ate forever. And that can be a problem as well.
Okay. Audrey, thank you so much for coming on and giving us that information. Great as usual. Thank you so much. We'll see you very soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
Well, guys, so don't go away, because after the break, we also have some other lovely guests for you. But first, we're going to go to a mood food recipe with Hannah Richards. Let's take a look at this.
Hello and welcome to the MTS Kitchen. My name's Hannah, and today I'm going to teach you how to cook some foods that are going to help reduce your anxiety levels. You may not have heard that actually what we eat can have an effect on how we feel, and it's certainly true. So today I'm going to show you how to make some turkey burgers and some sweet potato wedges. Take your sweet potatoes, and we're just going to start by peeling them. We're going to then parboil your sweet potatoes, and then we're going to put them in the oven with some spices, some garlic, some chili. So we want to sort of try and create as much of a wedge as possible. So, you know, sweet potatoes come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, so you've got to sort of be creative. So I would chop them into a sort of a cylindrical shape. Okay, so the sweet potatoes are in the pan. We're going to move on to the turkey burgers. So I've got two types of turkey mince. One is the breast and one is the thigh. The breast mince has got a little less fat in it, and that's why I brought the thigh mince, because fat is always good when you're doing burgers because it keeps it all together. And I'm just going to mush them together, mixing them up. So then for a little bit of taste, we're going to take some garlic cloves, squeeze them in your presser. Now I'm going to use some coconut oil to cook, just because these turkey burgers are going to take a little time. And then I'm going to take an onion and just chop it down as finely as you can. And just break all the little bits up as well. Okay, so add into the pan your onions and your garlic. So whilst we're there, I'm going to add a chilli. We're just going to go back to our sweet potatoes. Drizzle some olive oil over them. Some sea salt. Some turmeric. And a little bit of rosemary. And then we're just going to add some of our spicy mix. So there are your spicy wedges. We're just going to put them in the oven at 180 degrees for about 25 minutes. I'm going to check them after 25 minutes, or maybe a little bit before, because everyone's oven's a little different, but we want them roasted, we want them crispy. We're going to add a little bit of flour onto our cooking board. We're going to add a little bit of salt into the turkey burger. I'm going to take a handful, give it a bit of a baste into the flour and into the pan. So the sweet potatoes are ready. They've been in for 25 minutes and we're going to take them out.
Thanks very much to Hannah there, and after the break I'll be joined by mental health expert Pooky Knightsmith, and also we're going to be having aromatherapist Louise Crockart, and she's going to be telling us how aromatherapy does help with anxiety, and later on I'll be talking about 7 ways that I personally keep anxiety at bay. So do stay tuned. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to today's programme, where we are speaking all about anxiety. We're helping raise awareness about it and helping people recognise if they have it, and also trying to help viewers to beat it. So we also had Dr Audrey Tang on earlier, and now we have aromatherapist Louise Crockart with us. Hello, Louise.
Hello, hi, thanks for inviting me on.
It's great to have you on. So we've got some lovely things here, as you can see on this bar. And so first of all, tell us about how you got into aromatherapy in the first place.
Well, I was a graphic designer for 9 years, and that was quite a stressful job.
Okay.
And I was dabbling with essential oils in my daily life, and I'm a bit of a course junkie. I used to do lots of evening classes, and aromatherapy was one of the ones which I took. It was a 6-week evening course. And they just grabbed me. They were so versatile and so easy to use and really effective.
And they smell lovely.
And they smell great too. And you can get them anywhere now. I mean, obviously, the getting good quality oils is really important in aromatherapy. Okay. But they've really stayed with me all along. So I qualified as an aromatherapist. And 17 years later, I'm still doing it.
Okay. So we're talking about anxiety today. So why is aromatherapy very good for anxiety?
So smells are amazing at helping to calm and make us present in the moment, which is often a very good balancer, very good grounder. What happens is that our aromas will come into our nostrils, and they'll hit the olfactory bulbs right at the top of our nostrils. And that's linked with our limbic brain. And our limbic brain processes thoughts, emotions. So just by simply smelling something really gets you back into the emotion and the thought process.
Okay. So can you tell us which are the best oils to use, and also how to use them for someone that hasn't used them before?
Absolutely. Well, I'd always go for lavender first.
Yeah.
Lavender is it's a great cure-all. It's really sedative. It's generally a safe oil to use. I would always use little, is better, because
a couple of drops.
A couple of drops, only. All depends how you're going to use them. So what we have here, we've got a selection of different oils and how to use. You could get an aromatherapy candle, but you've got to make sure that it's actually essential oils in the aromatherapy candle rather than fragrances. A lot of these aromatherapy candles, when you have to become a bit like a label reader, if you see it's a fragrance, then that's actually just a synthetic smell. It's not therapeutic qualities.
Chemicals and things.
Yeah,
really.
so an aromatherapy candle, absolutely lovely. There's a oil burner or a hot plate. This is really good because there's no flame involved.
Yeah, so a bit safer, guys, if you're going to leave the room
so
or the house.
it's good for children. And you just put a couple of drops. I'll get some lavender here and just put a couple of drops. 6 drops on there, and you should be able to smell.
Yeah, it's such a lovely smell.
And it's
you
fantastic.
don't need much at all. It's just a few drops in there.
6 drops on an oil burner, and you could just pop some water in that as well, and that will just help over 4 hours or so. It'll really help to
that smells lovely.
cleanse the area.
I don't know if you guys can smell it. Not yet. No. Okay. They will.
So aromatherapy, they are derived from plants. They're distilled from plants, and the plants produce them to help antiviral, antibacterial properties. So that's why we would also use them as well, because all oils, to a varying degree, will have antiviral, antibacterial properties.
See, natural stuff is best, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So what other oils are good for anxiety?
So the other oils would be...
I've got a minute and a half left.
Roman chamomile. There's so many to choose from. So I would say my top 3 would be rose.
Yeah. Rose, really?
Rose, lavender, and chamomile for anxiety.
Okay.
Also, the other ones would be the citrus oils. So something that really makes you happy. A happy oil is that you think of grapefruit or lemon. That's a really beautiful, zesty, happy smell.
Yeah. And what about for massage as well? How would you use that?
So
I know you're not meant to put these directly on your skin, are you?
No, they are... Because they're distilled from plants, they're 400 times more strong than the naturally occurring plant.
Yeah.
So that's why you only need 1 drop. So generally, aromatherapy massage is diluted in sweet almond oil or coconut oil or a base oil. And I would put just a little bit of oil in here and maybe 5 to 10 drops according to what you want to massage.
And this is the almond oil, is it?
This is the almond oil. I'd pour it into this dish and I'd put a couple of drops here. So do you want me to try that there?
Just before we...
What oil would you like? How anxious are you feeling tonight?
I'm not actually, I'm really relaxed. This lavender's just like... So maybe the chamomile, let's see that one.
The chamomile, this is the Roman chamomile. There's 6 drops went into there. A little swill around. And you just have a little drop, and then you can rub it on your hands, nice and warm it up, and then just bring it to your face. And it's a really effective way of bringing you back into the moment. A lot of the times when you're feeling anxious, you do lots of very high breathing in your chest, and this is where diaphragmatic breathing is really important to help ground you.
That's lovely. Louise, thank you so much.
My
I just want to
pleasure.
try all of these, but we don't have time. Where's my camera? It's over there. Thank you so much. That's
Thank
lovely.
you.
All right, guys, so do stay tuned because now I'm going to be talking to mental health expert Pooky Knightsmith. And here's the lady herself. Hello, Pooky.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show.
It's lovely to have you on here. Now, I do know that you also have had a personal battle with mental health issues. Can you tell us how it all started and what happened?
Yeah, sure. So I suffered a lot when I was younger. So I suffered with anorexia and a range of sort of anxiety, depression. Lots of these things tend to kind of go, hand in hand. And that was something that I had support with at the time when I was at school. And by the time I was in my 20s, then I thought I'd said goodbye to it for good. But I find myself now kind of mid-relapse. It's very much a kind of live issue for me now. And so I am this time dealing with it very differently, being open and honest about it, seeking really, really good support.
So back then, did you not you weren't so open about it?
No, it was something that I didn't talk to even really family or close friends or anything.
Why was that?
I didn't feel comfortable doing that, and I just maybe didn't have the words. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't understand it, and I think I felt deeply ashamed as well. I felt like I should be able to manage. Everyone else around me seemed to be able to manage perfectly well, and so yeah, it was just something I felt really ashamed of.
But now you're able to be more open about it, and actually talking on TV about it is such a big move. It's great.
Yeah, I have to say that talking about my own kind of current mental health battles has been one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. Talking about stuff that happened in the past, so used to self-harm, used to have anorexia, that's one thing. Saying this is me right now and it's a real battle is really, really tough. But it's the best thing I've ever done, I think. I worried that it would harm my credibility. I might go and lecture a room full of psychiatrists about the latest eating disorders treatments and then standing there thinking, but I can't stay for lunch because right now that's something I just can't manage. And so I'd feel like a bit of a fraud. But since I've been open and honest, actually everyone's just reached out and been so supportive.
And that's the thing, sometimes we think people are going to react in a certain way and maybe in a negative way, and they don't, because when people are open and they see sincerity there, it's just a whole different thing, isn't it?
It really is. And the other thing I found is that being really honest with the people that I work with has helped as well. So I have people at work who've been incredibly supportive, and I've had a really good sort of transition back into work. Like, we've managed that really, really well.
Can you tell the viewers what you do, by the way?
Yeah, what do I do? So at the moment, I mean, I do many different things, but I have two main roles that I do at the moment. So one is with the Charlie Waller Memorial Trust, and that's a charity who look to help promote understanding of depression, anxiety and other mental health issues, and we do that across a whole range, but I direct their young people's programme. And then the other key role I do is working with the PSHE Association. So that's about working with schools to help young people get the skills that they need essentially for life, but I focus particularly on the mental health aspects.
And what would you say, in your opinion, and obviously with all the people that you've worked with, the youngsters that you've worked with, what's the main issue that youngsters have and why they get anxious, would you say?
There's a wide range of different issues, but kind of the two that we see again and again and again is stuff around sort of academic pressure and all that lead into exams, and kind of just the stress of being 13, 14, 15 years old. It's really difficult. And the other thing that we're seeing more and more at the moment is stuff around social media. So when we were younger, you got to go home at the end of the day and you could shut yourself under your covers and have a bit of respite.
Which was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. But now it's 24/7. Your phone might be pinging, or you've got stuff coming in on Twitter or Facebook, and so you don't get an escape from it. So that's a problem if you're being bullied, for example. But also an issue if you're trying to compare yourself to other people, which we do all the time. And there's lots of evidence that people who suffer with things like depression and anxiety actually will spend more time on social media comparing themselves. But we were taking selfies earlier, and you go through and you pick the best one, don't you?
Yes.
And we know that of ourselves, and so we know our own life, warts and all, but we often take at face value what other people are presenting, and so we think we can't compare. Yeah.
So true. What about the younger people, the children? Because that's surprising. I mean, it's sometimes thinking, wow, so many children that have mental health issues nowadays, and it's really
we do.
worrying.
Yeah, and one of the things I've been asked to support people with more and more is self-harm in really, really young people. Really? Right down to primary school. We do see it, unfortunately, and that's often something that we'll see alongside things like depression and anxiety. There's lots and lots of different reasons, but a young person, any time that they go through any sort of trauma or change or loss, so it might be that there's perhaps sort of difficulties at home, or that even things like changing class, having a new teacher that they don't feel that they get on with so well. Again, academic pressure, we see more and more pressure even at younger ages. And then there's things like the pressure to kind of conform to societal norms, the pressure to look beautiful. I have children who are in year 1, so they're really young, and they're already aware of kind of fat and thin and beautiful and ugly, and terrible, you want to wrap them up, don't you?
Don't worry about these things.
Yeah.
It's not important.
No, that's it. So there's lots and lots of different pressures on young people. And the key thing we need to think about sometimes is not so much how can we take those pressures away, but how can we help young people to have the skills they need to manage them better.
To deal with them, because pressures are going to come from all directions throughout our lives. So
absolutely.
We do need to learn how to do that.
Yeah, and that's one of the silver linings. Whenever I work with people who have perhaps, a young person who's going through a really difficult time, so they might have, an adolescent who's going through self self-harm, eating disorders, anxiety, that kind of thing. And it can feel very, very hopeless sometimes. But what we get the other side is someone who comes out who's got better coping skills than their peers because they've learned how to manage this. And so they go out into the world and actually they are much better prepared.
And good to pass that on, those skills on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it can also really help to bring families together as well. So sometimes it feels like they're falling apart because of these issues. But as we work together and we go through that kind of therapeutic process and we learn about each other, then sometimes those bonds are better than they ever were to start with.
Brilliant.
So it can be really positive.
That's lovely, Pooky. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your own experience, and very brave to do that. It was great, and also the advice that you've given. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, so don't go away, because after this break, we're going to be having a fitness tip with Ben Coupe, and I'll also be revealing 7 ways that I personally keep anxiety at bay. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to today's program, everyone, and we've been speaking all about anxiety. We've had guests on that have spoken about what it is exactly, how it starts, how it escalates, and also we've been talking about how to treat it. And one of the things that we did was the aromatherapy earlier, and my hand still smells lovely, by the way. So now, before I go on to my 7 ways of how I keep anxiety at bay, let's take a look at this fitness video with Ben Coupe, and he's going to be going through some exercises that really help with anxiety.
Hi, I'm Ben and welcome to the Move 360 studio. Today we're going to be talking about anxiety. I use exercises to help people with anxiety every single day. And these type of exercises are particularly good for acute anxiety, when it comes on really suddenly, when you've had an argument or any type of anxiety that you're experiencing. And we're all going to experience some at some point in our life. The key to these exercises is the breathing. So I'm going to start on the mat, shoulder width apart with the legs, extending the arms up, and breathe out as we go down. Breathe in again, and you can close your eyes through these if you want to, and breathe out. Breathe in, extend, and breathe out, down again. So the key is to get as low as you can, but if you can't get as low as I'm getting, just go to your limit. Keep it slow. Breathe in, breathe out, and make sure that you're focused on something away from the anxiety. Okay, and now the next exercise, we're going to use a Swiss ball. Now this exercise is similar to the first, but the Swiss ball adds a great element to it. Swiss balls, basically when you use them, you use every muscle in your body. Every muscle will be working to stabilize on the Swiss ball. So we're going to sit on it to start with, roll down into position, arms out again, and again it's all about the breathing. Breathe out, breathe in on extension, breathe out, breathe in. Keep it slow. Focus the mind away from the anxiety and what is causing it. And not only are you reducing anxiety, but you'll be using your abdominals, you'll be using your glutes, you're focusing the mind on other things, and that's going to help to reduce them. The next exercise I recommend, particularly for people who work in offices, who sit down a lot during the day, will be down on the mat, face down. It's called a Mackenzie push-up. Again, breathe in and down. Breathe out as you push up. Keep it slow again, and this is mobilizing the lower back. And already you've probably forgotten about what your anxiety was about. And this is driving energy into all of the other areas of your body as well, away from your mind. Anxiety is very much about the mind as well as the body. The next exercise, we're going to use a foam roller, or you can use a block. I'm just going to lie down onto it with my head rested, arm down, and then the other arm on top. I'm going to breathe in, rotate, and come back. Breathe in. Again, the same rhythm, slow. So on all of these exercises, we're going to want to do about 10 reps on each, and just do one set of each. See how you feel. See whether the anxiety's gone down. See how your body feels. And then you can repeat them if you want to, but keep them slow, breathing in and out slowly and deeply. And then see how you feel.
So thanks very much to Ben. There's some great tips from him. So now I'm going to be covering the 7 things that I do to keep anxiety at bay. Now the first one is very important. Well, they're all important. And that is getting enough sleep. I do try to make sure that I get at least 7 hours, especially because my life is so busy. I'm on the go all the time. I work quite late into the evening, obviously when I record the shows in the evening. So a lack of sleep can actually cause stress and anxiety. So definitely that's one that I try to do, and I recommend you do too. The second point is to laugh. Now, research shows that laughter can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. So I always try to see the funny side of things. So even if something serious has happened, especially between, when something happens and I talk to my husband about it, we try to have a laugh. Yes, we'll talk about it, try to solve the issue. And, if I've gone to him for advice, for example, we sit down, we talk about it, but we always have a laugh. And if it's something like, I lose something, we make a joke about it. We tease each other all the time. So it really just keeps that stress at bay. And even you can even do things like, for example, me personally, I like to play chase with my cat. It's very funny. She thinks she's a dog. She chases me. I chase her around the house. And it's just nice to do that. And it does really de-stress you. The third thing that I do is to declutter, declutter, declutter. Now, if your house is upside down, or maybe even your workspace is upside down, it's, for me, that will just, I can't live in a messy environment. I like things to be clean, I like things to be tidy, and it helps me because I know exactly where everything is in my house. So anytime I have something that I'm not using anymore, I get rid of it. And me and my hubby have this kind of rule that if we buy, for example, a new item of clothing, we get rid of one. Either we give it away, give to charity, or if it's in not great condition, then we just throw it away. So that kind of keeps things from piling up too much, and we just have enough stuff, but not things all over the place. And that really clears your mind. And the same with your actual workspace. If you've got bits of paper everywhere and you've got notes written in 5 different notebooks, and it's dirty as well, and you've got cables everywhere, how are you supposed to concentrate? Of course your mind is going to be a bit anxious and a bit cluttered. So make sure you clear the space around you. For some, that could actually take a long time, especially if you've accumulated things over a number of years. So I would say start step by step, do a bit each day, maybe commit to an hour a day of decluttering something. Start in one area. Don't try and do decluttering in different parts of the house all at one time. Start with one area, finish that space first, and then move on to the next, and you'll see you feel a lot calmer. My fourth point is to be organized. So I'm not a last minute person whatsoever, so I really do like to be organized, and I like to plan well ahead. So for example, I already have my goals that I keep in my mind. I'm focused on what I need, and there's no space for negative thoughts. So when I'm organized, when I have my goals set and I know I keep my mind on those goals, I find that I can keep negative thoughts at bay. And if one does try to pop up, I just get rid of it immediately because I do have those plans already in my head. The fifth point is to ditch the junk. Now, research suggests that eating sugary and processed foods can increase symptoms of anxiety. So this is something that I started to put into practice a few years ago, and gradually I got better with my eating habits, better with my exercise regime, and now I don't eat any processed food. I've cut down sugary things right down. It's just like maybe once a week when I go out, I have something like a cake or something. I don't eat chocolates anymore, and I feel a lot better. I feel a lot healthier, more energy, and it's just been great. So if you are feeling anxious, also check, what the kind of things that you're eating. If you're eating, sugary foods all the time, your mood's going to be low, you're going to feel lethargic. You maybe won't have enough energy to do the things that you need to do in a day, then you fall behind, and then it's one thing after the other. So something as maybe seemingly insignificant as your eating habits can make a huge difference. My 6th point is invest in your spirit. Now, this is something that I personally do, and as I've said before on the show, I like to look after my health, the way I eat, I look after my relationships, but I also invest in my spirit, where I believe in God, I believe in faith, and for me, I like to pray first thing in the morning when I wake up in the morning, and it kind of sets my day up for me. So any issues maybe that have come up, I pray about them, I think about things, I think about myself, how I can improve myself, and that really takes a lot of stress away because, as I said, this job is very busy for me, and I need some kind of calm and just to meditate for a while and before I start my day, so that always helps me. And my next point, and the final point for now, is addressing issues. So it's very, very important. Anytime an issue does come up that I'm concerned about, I don't just leave it there, hide it, sweep it under the carpet. I always deal with situations that come up in my life. And one of the things I do is always talk about it with someone, especially, my husband is normally the person that I will speak to. I have very close friends that I speak to, and I don't leave things undone. I try to sort things out immediately, and that's actually the thing that helped me the most when I was going through all the mental health issues that I've mentioned. The first step up to my recovery was actually opening up and talking about what I was going through. But it doesn't mean because I've recovered from those issues in the past that other little things don't try to come up. Sometimes they do. So I've learned from experience, and now if I can't deal with it myself, I'm finding it difficult, I always speak to someone about it, and that's something that you guys could also try. All right, guys, so we have reached the end of today's program, but if you guys at home have a suggestion for a topic that you'd like to see covered on this program, or maybe if you're going through something you'd like to see a topic delved into even more on the show, please do get in touch with us. You can tweet us at Chrissy B Show. You can comment on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show, and also you can fill out a form on our website, chrissybshow.tv. And don't forget, if you want to learn more about me and how I beat depression and panic attacks and all the other issues that I had, including anxiety actually, you can visit my personal website, mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now. Cameras. But if you're confident enough to do it, go for it. But don't ignore me.
Hello.
Hello. You can talk to me as well. And that should take us 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go
don't do it too quickly.
Right.